we'll give everybody a few minutes. I know Sean
Sure.
is on his way, but Lori might not make it. Uh, Something about holiday chaos.
It is that time of year.
It is that time of year.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to another holiday special with BS&BEER Canada. My name is Aaron Jones. I am a carpenter and a builder on Grand Manan Island over, oh, right. No, it's right there somewhere. Anyways, you get the idea. I'm on the East Coast, and today I am drinking oh, come on, Days Done. Oh, well. Anyways, Days Done from Trailway Brewing. It is a fairly local brewery. It's on the mainland from us. And this is another holiday special. So we're going to talk about our wins, our losses, lessons learned, and if we have time, maybe even the lessons we've learned from each other. Connor, this is
Thanks,
a well
Aaron.
planned out show, folks.
My name is Connor Malloy. I'm a designer, builder, and educator in Toronto. Um, Jokingly, the center of the world, but really it's not. All of Canada is equal. Excited to be here. It's a great community to come and share and learn. And it's a nice time to reflect, right? Life feels busy. Your business feels busy. Your jobs feel busy. And sometimes it's hard to focus on the details and think about the planning, but this is a place to come and share what works and what has not worked for you this past year. And then looking forward around what you're looking forward to in 2026, shows, projects, or things you're actually worried about. Those could be things to share as well. So yeah, that's for me. What about you, Jeremiah?
I'm Jeremiah Summer. I am a builder in Southwest Ontario, with the emphasis on continual learning and, better building practice and high performance details, all of those fun things, integrating that into our daily uh, practice every day and also helping to teach our young workers, hopefully good habits that they can carry on, well, ideally working with us for a very long time, but if they move on someday, that they're kind of left with, a good foundation to build off on them on their own. I don't have a fun beer to talk about. It's just a non-alcoholic, but I have a fun shirt, and I figured, you know, if Clark Griswold had have done a little better job, he wouldn't have had an ice dam that went through Margot and Todd's window, and they wouldn't have maybe if they had triple pane glass too, it might not have broken. So that's why the carpet's all wet, Todd.
That's great. I like that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I've always
Oh,
wanted to make a non-alcoholic beer called zero point 0.6 ACH 50.
Nice.
If you could, they all seem to be zero point 0.5.
Yep.
But if you can nail that zero point 0.6 somehow,
I think you could just title it that. It would
you
still.
can,
It would,
because you're right. Those percentages are not exactly. Do you know orange juice has alcohol content to it?
mm, it's
Yeah,
good to know.
there you
Probably
go.
0.6.
Well, we're
oh,
we're a small group. Why don't we have Finlay and Leo introduce themselves?
we could do that. Why not? If they're game, if they're up for it.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just finishing a bite of food, but I will 100%.
That's all of us. You come
Uh,
to this builder life. It's how
same,
it works. Go ahead, Leo.
same here. I'm dropping off my mechanics and being picked up by my mother-in-law to go home. So I will join you shortly from a better connection.
Beautiful.
Very good, Leo. Looking forward to it.
So, Aaron, why don't you start? Can you walk us through, I guess, if you can summarize your year for us, but maybe just some of the highlights. What stands out to you is like real, maybe going like rounds. Let's go through wins. Let's go through losses, and then maybe what some of the learnings are. So let's start with what your wins
Okay.
are.
Wins. Some of my biggest wins this year, besides a few crazy good blower door numbers, were just the opportunity to collaborate and meet with my friends in person. And by that I mean I had the great chance to visit Jeremiah in person. I have had the chance to visit you in person, and many other people across Canada and the US. Um, BS&BEER Canada had a solo BS&BEER Symposium in Vancouver. That was a huge success. Um, you know, a lot of small wins this year. And my friend Gina's yelling from the background, but anyways, uh, our my our friend Sean St. Amour is going to join us here shortly. He always reminds me you got to celebrate those small wins, and I've been really trying to do that this year. It's just like you know those little moments. Take a breath, appreciate it, and move forward and hopefully build on that. Ah, I'm wandering all over the place, but we're still on wins. Um, you know, we've built a pretty darn amazing structure, a house. It's testing well, it's performing well. Um, we were able to get probably the fanciest makeup air system that I've ever been a part of in a house installed, and that was, pretty good. As for losses, I'm pretty grateful to say there was no like real loss this year. And I'm, very fortunate to say that for the most part, it was a pretty good year. There was some lost time and there was some things that could have went better, but there wasn't an actual moment where um, it was like start over. So very grateful for that.
Awesome. What about you, Jeremiah? Let's do wins.
Yeah, well, I think this year was one of the first start to finish projects that we had where we had a really engaged client who was, kind of all over the same things we were. And spend a lot of time researching things and feeling really confident that a plan is gonna work, whether that's for me, it's on the HVAC side because that's something that's a little, you know, something I haven't spent years understanding. It's been more in the last handful of years. So to see that project come together and get phone calls from him and updates on the regular about the way the building is operating for them, and they're, really excited about it. Like he constantly is, letting me know that the decisions that we made, um, worked really well and are working really well, and that he loves to be in that space. So that was really good. That was a huge win, just because that now it's becomes a little bit less, uh, I don't know, theoretical for me when I talk to other people about, the things that I'm confident that we can deliver on. It's just a little bit another sort of, uh, um, I don't know, just another bit of reinforcement on our end, being able to look back at that project because it was well done, but it was nothing really extravagant about it. It was pretty practical. So to me, it only makes me feel like things can go better. And so, anyways, it was really nice to have good feedback from somebody on those particular things because it's not something we've been super involved in all the time on the project. So to be able to kind of be really in on especially the mechanical side of things and have it work the way he wants it to work and the way we wanted it to work. So that was really good. I wouldn't say that we had any massive like losses. I think no big fails. I don't really look at it as failure unless you make the same mistake twice. The first one's a learning experience, but we didn't really have anything, just some little ups and downs here and there. But by and large, I would call it a really a good year from a learning perspective, and sort of just adding more, uh, you know, um, background for us for the next project.
That's
Will
awesome.
you?
Well, I'll kind of give you three. Just pencil three down. One is kind of echoes what Aaron said. I think so much for me, teaching for a living mostly it's kind of a solo career as being like an expert level or subject matter expert, and being able to go to shows and meet colleagues and collaborate and learn and get the first chance to present this year at IBS down in Vegas was great and collaborative. So all that's really fueling. Going to these shows and meeting and connecting and learning is it's wonderful. It's really the highlight of my year to go and connect with people, whether it's in Canada, in the US, or anywhere. Even at your local building yard. That stuff is just wonderful. And part of that, what came out of that by going to FIASCon in 2022, 2021. I met Mark Willie in person down at the show. He introduced me to lots of vendors and met some of the organizers of FIAS. And it's been about 4 years in the making, but we finally licensed the the Certified Passive House Builder program from FIAS. And we're now running that in our 3-year carpentry program. So every student in our program now, embedded in their applied building science courses, are taking the licensed builder curriculum, and they'll eligible to write their certification exams this coming March. Which, when I look back at when I started the college 7 years ago, that was a vision to get a micro credential. So having that here now it's been a big lift, but having the class work on credentialed exercises, be able to write and come out of school with a credential that's included in their fees now that feels really good.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. And on a personal note, finally got my house done. That felt really good after a long time. Our blower door score before we put in the 10-inch duct for the makeup air unit was 0.06 ACH 50 was our number.
Wow.
And aside from the nerdiness, it just feels great.
Yeah.
It feels the house is comfortable. And we've never had a new house before. We've always renovated and helped other people, but to live in one is really different. And I think it aims you with a more of a, I guess, like a qualitative language around comfort and durability. That's less of a sales pitch when you've actually lived in it. And that's been fun. That's been really fun to get that done and get back to regular life. Justin, what about you? Give some wins from 2025.
Hey everyone. Nice to see you guys. Sorry I'm late. Yeah, wins. It was a big year. We had some really amazing projects. We built our first low energy passive type home. A home without a furnace in Saskatchewan is pretty awesome. Our clients are in there. They've had a few of their cold days that we've had, and they're running around with their heat gun and trying to find any leaks or cold spots or anything. And he's constantly messaging saying like this is just absolutely amazing. So it was really cool to have a client that was very well aligned and as invested in the project as we were. So that was pretty neat. And like Connor coming off building his own personal home, we actually got fired up on our own new office this year, our high performance build, and I've been slugging away on evenings and weekends, and it's been absolutely exhausting. But we're starting to get it to lock up and hopefully get it completed in the new year and get in our space. And we're really excited about that to kind of showcase what it is that we do, and to be able to work in that type of space is going to be really cool for the team. So yeah, just looking forward to 2026 and what that's going to bring. We got a lot of really neat stuff coming up, and yeah, no, it's been a great year.
That's great. Doesn't it always feel good, even at lockup, even when the door is made of plywood, but when you can finally
Yeah.
close a space and go, raccoons can't come in, like that feeling is massive, right?
That's right.
And it was your space. It's really cool. There's nothing
Yeah.
better than it. Yeah. The man, the myth, the legend, Sean is here. Sean, introduce yourself. And then we're talking about wins from 2025.
Gotcha. Well, gentlemen, and ladies, I'm sorry that I'm late. First off, Sean Sanamore finally here. Having to go with a legendary, if we can see it, come on, label. There you are. A classic Canadian dry ginger ale. Still working, so there's no rum in this can or in the glass, so it is what it is. But nursing some West Coast sickness as well, so it is what it is. Well, gentlemen, I've seen some of your successes because of social media, which again is so great that we maybe lots going on, but being able to stay connected through that lens has been fantastic. Again, Connor, glad that you are staying warm in your passive house. It's something to say that we're able to walk the talk. My kind of big win, I guess, career wise, is getting this amazing new job and this new role where I'm focusing on retrofits and the fact that I'm now in our brand new office that we've retrofitted. So Etro Construction is walking the talk, being living the retrofit world. It's not to passive house standard, but again, we gotta work on little things to create those milestones. Um, and of course, you guys that were in Vancouver got to check out our 837 BD project, which is a gem that I just love. So luckily the opportunities that I've created here at Etro have just been a lot of fun and being able to take the zero carbon building knowledge into retrofits is been pretty exciting. So I'm feeling pretty lucky career wise. Yeah.
Very cool. We should
Very good.
probably talk about some of the things we're looking forward to for next year. Um, I don't know.
Let's talk about
You
the big
left
one.
off.
Yeah, let's
Next
talk
year's a
about
big.
building science symposium 2026. Do we get to start talking about that?
We could start talking about that.
I
It
it's
will
one of the
be over here somewhere.
uh-huh. Yeah. I'm also looking forward to the 6th on August 26th, 2026 of International Flashing Awareness Day. Those are at least two big ones that might involve a few of us.
Yes. Um, I didn't mention that in my wins, but yes. You know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for some of the things I'm looking forward to in 2026. I am looking forward to hanging out with some of my friends and colleagues at the International Build Show. I'm looking forward to presenting there. I am really looking forward to JLC Live this year, where, oh, that guy right there, I'm pointing. Oh, I can't touch him, but if I could touch Connor, I would, but I'd probably have to go like that. Where I'll be hanging out with Connor at the high performance stage at JLC Live. And we're going to have probably some shenanigans, a usual bit of fun. Um, and we'll be talking building science. And right on the heels of that, we'll be looking at the BS&BEER Canada Building Science Symposium in the Halifax area. And I'm not sure, but Connor might be able to share a little something with us about that right now.
I'm on mute. Yeah, so live tonight is the symposium link. So on the website, if you just click on 2026 symposium, it gives you the brief information, really to hold the date for May 7th and May 8th, 2026 in Dartmouth. And it's going to be great. We've got speakers lined up. We've got a great club to join at. We're lining up breweries and gifts, of course, to have great food and great beverage, but really just build great community. And so far, we've been in Toronto in 2024. In the West, we are in Vancouver in 2025. So to come east this time and meet new people and have some new speakers and reach some new people is going to be really wonderful. So that's on the website. We do have registration coming in February 2026, but it will be at the Micmac Amateur Aquatic Club in Dartmouth. It will be a two-day program, and speakers are lined up. We have Emily Mottram from Mottram Architecture in the Northeast. We have Mark Bernhardt. We have Michael Ansell, and then we also have Andy Thompson. So some great presentations covering envelopes and closures and energy modeling and best practices and just a lot of great information from some Canadians and some Americans who can share great learning. And we'll all be there, which is going to be really, really fun. So yeah, go to bsbeercanada.ca and go to 2026 Symposium.
Cool.
There we have it. That will probably be one of the highlights of the year.
Yeah.
Followed by the next highlight in August, which will be the sixth annual International Flashing Awareness Day. And that is, for me, it's one of the highlights of the year. We get to share all of our favorite flashing details and help educate others on how to keep the carpet dry. Gotta show Sean your shirt.
Love it. That's great.
Oh, disappeared. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I got it. Love it.
Um, yeah, and that's really just just past the first half of the year. Tons of fun. Uh, anyways, how about you, Connor? What are you looking forward to in 26?
Well, you stole my thunder. Is this the very same things? I'm looking forward to. It's funny.
That's okay.
I don't think if you asked me 3 years ago if I would like look forward to going to Vegas or Orlando, I'm like, oh, it's too big. But the reality is those shows, this is the International Builder Show. So IBS is in February and this year's in Orlando. And yeah, it's overwhelming. It's enormous. But everyone you want to talk to and learn from and manufacturing reps are there to see new products and have outdoor exhibits, indoor exhibits, the construction performance zone, the craft technique zone, the professionals that are organized to come in and teach are just second to none. So that show we're really looking forward to. So that's middle of February. And of course, JLC Live for me has always been a highlight since we started going in 2018. And it's wonderful. The scale is actually really nice and accessible. Again, it's hands-on demonstrations on the show floor. I have the privilege to present with Aaron in the high performance zone this year. And we've got some great hands-on demos and again, great people at those. You learn from Ross Strathuri talking about mechanicals, and you go downstairs to drywall and decks and then some Spanish language programs as well in the framing and the deck areas. And it's really, really wonderful. It's drivable from Toronto, kind of 9 hours, right? You can get there. So that show is for me is just it feels great. The scale is really nice and it feels really good. And at the college, we're trying to work on some new micro credentials as well to make our school competitive, but also just offer our students more. So when they come out of the program, they not only have a diploma or a certificate, but they have some smaller credentials that line up with industry recognized providers and programs that really connect with employers. So we got a lot of work on that right now, and including some stuff we're looking at in panelized and offsite manufacturing to bring that into the college. So yeah, I look forward to that a lot, but just meeting more people. What about you, Jeremiah?
Well, one of those things would be JLC. Last year was the first year to go to that, and it was awesome. There's three of us that went, and we talked about it for 11 hours on the way home. Like it was just everyone was raving about the experience, and so because of that, there was a lot of FOMO going on with the remainder of the crew who just weren't sure if they really that was the kind of thing for them until we got back and everyone was blabbing about it. So this year, I think it's like our whole gang is coming. So we've got everyone selecting the various sort of classes that they want to take and do. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's really looking forward to that. Of course, Flashing Awareness Day. That's always a lot of fun to see what people come up with, and it gets more entertaining, I think, each year as people get more creative with their posts and some smarter details all the time too. Um, Work-wise, we have some pretty cool renovations coming up that are going to be fairly complex in terms of just the age of the homes. They're both, well, one I was at today is probably 1850s. house, which is getting up there for this part of the country. And we still haven't poked a hole through the wall yet to figure out what exactly we're going to find in there. But I've seen some floor joists in the basement that have bark on them. So that's probably a pretty good indication that we're going to find something unusual in every nook and cranny. So lots of the same kind of stuff, but we like that. It's just taking those projects and figuring out the best solutions for them. So it's kind of our year ahead.
Love it. There's some conflicting things on the West Coast. So BuildX Vancouver is the week before Orlando, and I've got a couple presentations in that, so that might stop me from getting to Orlando. And then when you guys are JLC, we have the International Mass Timber Conference down in Portland. So there's always these, conflicting events, but I'll either be there in person or I will be living vicariously through you. And then the other one is Pacifist Canada will be here in Vancouver in June. So those are kind of like some of the West Coast stuff that will keep me planned and organized and kind of less on an airplane. So we'll see where I get to, but those are some local ones that are also on the calendar. Again, I'm at work, so I don't have the big calendar of that. I tried to start updating this weekend, given that the show was coming, and so I got some homework during the holidays to get that calendar up to date and see where some of the other maybe smaller conferences or seminars or educational events that are happening in 2026. I'll get those organized so we can stay on top of things. And of course, you're hanging out with us on the 5-day forecast every Sunday. You'll understand when these events get posted and all the fun things that are going on, just compared to the regular events that we're trying to communicate out to our community.
I guess I better jump in. Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be going to IBS this year, just with trying to get the new office said and done. That's pretty much, we're trying to get this thing pushed into March and kind of get moved over to our new space. So unfortunately, we'll be bunkering down and getting that thing done. But yeah, I'm really trying to get out to JLC this year. It's been on my hit list. I really want to, seeing that I'm missing out on Orlando, I want to try to get out there. Um, of course, end of March is going to be like playoff season for my little guy for hockey. So I guess we'll see how that all works out. But I'm hoping that we can make that happen. And then, yeah, obviously, heading out to our building science symposium is going to be great. I haven't made it out east, and really looking forward to going to see that side of the country. So, yeah, this it's going to be a little bit of a low key year with just trying to get the office done and everything this year, but. Excited to get in there. Excited we got some really neat projects coming up this year that we've already got in the works. And yeah, it's just going to be a good year overall. So
Awesome, bud. Yeah, no, I was trying to think of some of the fall events that, in a sense, have just finished up and where they plan out for next year. And I guess they'll be right around the same time, just maybe in a different spot. But there's always just so much great information, and even content-wise, you just think of the amount of podcasts that are out there. So many opportunities to be connecting and learning and being involved in this community. So just kind of have to show up, and the community will take care of you.
Oh,
absolutely.
just the people on this screen alone. Yeah, every year there's always like a nugget here and there. And I don't mean just once a year. I mean throughout the year. It's like, wow, okay. I haven't seen that done before, and that's pretty cool. Like Jeremiah, recently you had you know, thermally broken not rim joist, ledger inside your foundation in a traditional concrete wall. I had never thought of using an ICF connection in a traditional concrete wall. So, like,
It
very
worked.
cool.
It worked. Well, that was only, and I don't think I ever would have either, except that we were uh, working on an ICF house. We were only partially involved in the project, but we were doing the wood portions of that. And when we showed up, I really actually wasn't sure what that ledger connection even was. And when it showed up, I saw these plates in the wall, and I'm like, as we were putting it together, obviously saw how all that went. I'm like, this can't possibly be an ICF only thing. I've just probably never seen it on anything else. So it worked great. I would do that again. The little things that I would try just to smooth out the process, but I mean, it does the job. And when I contacted Simpson about it, they're like, you just can't use those outside, like for a deck ledger. Outside, I was like, well, that's fair, but otherwise, yeah, it's a good solution.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Something I hadn't thought of, and I've done a pile of ICF, and I just never thought of using them in a traditional form.
Does take some sweet talking of your concrete sub. We're very fortunate to have a guy who's pretty good. He'll kind of uh, give me a bit of a hard time if I throw anything different at him at first, but he's a good sport about it in the end. And I did have to put in a decent amount of elbow grease myself to get all of that prepped. I don't think he really wanted anything to do with actually installing it. And I said, I'll look after that part if you pour, and he was good with all that. So
That's fair.
So we talked a lot about shows that might be far for people listening to go travel to, down in Florida and even down in Rhode Island and maybe flying out west. But can you think about if you had someone in your community that wanted to do something and go learn, maybe not as big as some of the shows we talked about? Can you think about something that you'd really tell someone in your community or your part of your province to go to locally to learn about the things you're talking about?
hmm. I I don't know if there'd be much locally here. I tend to direct people to um the Build Show 101, 201, 301
Yeah,
series because it's super approachable. And it starts out at a point where it's, I think anyone who's interested in enough to want to get more information can start with that. I there at least for me anyway, there's nothing local.
Connor, for us, I mean, we're lucky with BCIT that's offering similar programs to what you guys are doing at George Brown, and the micro credentials for mass timber has kind of come on board this fall.
amazing.
So they're really working on kind of that prefab aspect, and so we've got one of our staff that has signed up for it, and I know they're gonna go from the traditional mass timber and try to get a couple more kind of prefab. Those are exciting. And then, again, we're so blessed between either the Pathworks Accelerator and again, Jeremiah thinks we're in the hat because now with the Reimagine Buildings Collective that they've got going on and some of the summits that go on, we just had the best of retrofit 2 weeks ago, and man, it was fantastic. But then of course, we've got our friends at the Build Show that have the Build Science 101, 201, and I'm behind. I haven't even seen the 401. So I've got some homework to do this holidays to get my certificate for that. So, yeah, we're really lucky with like the free stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing to say the free stuff. So, um,
Yeah, I just popped up on screen here. If you
yeah,
if you haven't seen the Building Science 101, 201, and 301, as Jeremiah and Sean just talked about, if you go to the Build Show and go to Originals, it's down here in the list here. So 101, 201, 301. And we had our group actually 301 is quite wonderful that it talks about drawing translation into the details and then stitches in pictures and imagery of what footings look like going in a sequence, foundation walls and forming, top of wall. It's really a wonderful series again for no cost. Also generates a certificate. So that's a great idea if you can't travel but want to learn.
yeah, that board is fantastic. I want one of
Thank you
those
for
boards.
reminding me about that. I completely forgot about that series that I saw when it came out, and I was very excited when I saw the announcement. But then, with the chaos of the last 2 months at home, I've completely forgotten about that. So thanks.
Have any of you ever attended a boots on the ground event in your maybe not community but in your province?
Yep.
Yeah,
There's
that's
one. They're great.
Yeah.
oh, I'll pop that one up here too. So boots on the ground it's an event run by a group called Passive Buildings Canada. and it started initially in Toronto, I believe, and it's now moved in a number of provinces. It's a very affordable format. They're typically in the evening, 3 to 4 hours. It's run like a mini trade show. There's 3 to 4 speakers. Local high performance vendors are there. Mechanical, windows, envelope, and closure. And what's really exciting about this is it used to be pretty much invite only, which was if you weren't in the fold, it was really hard to get in. And I think for a long time, we wanted to tell people this is the great group to go and join. They now flipped the model, and it's a pay to play, but you can become a member of Passability in Canada for as little as $25 for the whole year, and that gets you entrance to these amazing events.
Yeah.
And
They're
if
great.
you like to get your money's worth more than knowledge, they do have pizza and beer, so you can just get your $25 worth and get learning. But
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing.
yeah. So for you, they'd regularly do ones, Leo, in Toronto. They've done one in the fall in Muskoka. So that's north, sort of like middle of Ontario. I know Lori's talked to them about
I mean,
doing.
being in Uxbridge, it's almost like Muskoka is almost the same distance as Toronto, or at least
Yeah.
time-wise with
You can go to
traffic.
both then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo area. They're usually one, well, coming up probably February, March in the spring. It's a good one.
Yeah. There's a lot of great groups to sort of check out.
The boots on the ground is good because of it. Like the presentations are only usually about 30 minutes, but they're really diverse. At least the ones I've been to have had everything from they'll usually have some maybe a case study where someone has built a recent project and goes through all of that, all the way down to like, you know, wetland management and stuff like that for certain properties. Or last time they had like freshwater pond pools, like all kinds of stuff like that. Just all sort of different approaches to building various things, and they're quite interesting.
Very cool. There's so much out there. You could literally be a full-time professional student for free. Between podcasts, Build Show, Passive House Accelerator, and some of the other amazing groups out there full-time. Other than that, I would like if you want something a little more low-key, look at your local home warranty program. Even if you're not, interested in joining Home Builders Association, just whoever's running your home warranty program, they typically have education, and quite often they require continuing education to remain current. At least that's how it works for us. I can't speak for everybody, but Atlantic Home Warranty has always been very proactive in educating their membership.
Sean?
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah.
Do I recall that did I see it that you at some point went to Germany to bow?
Oh, I wanted to. So, the beginning of December was the Holzbau conference in Innsbruck that used to be in Garmisch in Germany. Now it's in Austria.
Oh,
I
terrible.
we pulled out about 2 weeks before. I mean, I'm lucky. I've been 4 times in my career, and I'll definitely go back in 2026. Just got again too many things going on. But no, I wanted to go see my favorite company called Balfritz, which is an hour and a half west of Munich, which I think is the most sustainable prefab company in the world. It is actually great to see that Paradigm Panels here in BC is incorporating some Balfritz type systems, which is pretty cool. Um, but that's kind of the December portion of 2026, because then Bow I think is in January, early January of 2027. So there's definitely some cool things, either in Canada or in the US or even international. So um yeah, I probably won't get to Fies, and I probably won't get to um any other kind of passive events, just local ones here in Vancouver. So but
Baufritz is interesting. That I haven't heard of them, but I'll definitely look them up.
I would say from a culture and philosophy, Balford's is the best. From a factory standpoint, Ringley, which is in Switzerland, I like their latest factory because they've kind of gone through three over 110 years. No, it's they've been doing prefab for about 40 years. But in those factories, they went from like the traditional like straight line, then they went like 2D where they had all the machines there. Now the latest factory is kind of 3D where it's a big tall wall, sorry, big tall pavilion, and they will lift parts up and over machines. That's kind of takes that building or the process to the next level. But even too, they're automated material sorting. So all the shipments will come in, and then the robot will grab it and then go put on a shelf. And so when the um, wall operator wants certain material, he just puts it in, and then it gets picked and then brought out to the machine and gets rid of three people and four or sorry three people and a couple of forklift operators, right? So and that created that kind of 50-foot ceiling in the warehouse. And then like, well, now that we've got it 50 feet, I guess we might as well get cranes to just lift parts over machines. And they do it in a safe way where, again, that you're not putting parts over humans, but they've got like the right lanes where material can fly over and above work zones that are safe. So it's pretty cool.
What kind of panel are they? Are they building like fully insulated and fenestrated panels that are basically just bolt together, screw together when they get there, and that's everything?
Yep.
Other than finishes?
Drywall to cladding windows installed. And the first time I saw it was the big JRKs that took about 10 years to finally cross the pond. It
Yeah.
just blew me away of these 12 to 16-inch screws and it's
By
That's
just
far the
yeah.
nicest prefab facility I have ever been to, bar none. Um, just and not just the facility itself, but the people and
Yeah.
how they just structure everything for their employees. I like working outdoors, but I would go work there.
Well, they make it where the outdoors comes in. I mean, you think of a lot of factories that we've all been to where these, steel boxes with steel walls that aren't insulated. And so now you're inside, but you're still freezing.
Mhm.
These again are almost passive levels of factory, but the daylighting is it's amazing, right? You're working on the machine, you look out through Germany, you see this field, and you can just, see the lovely greenery of the outdoors. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And this is just, the culture. Like, I mean, Balfritz is four generation owned, Ringley's five. And luckily here in BC, we now have Klisnikov that is fourth generation, and they're now taking their mass timber facility to the extremes where now they've got three factories, one doing CLT, another one doing glulam, and now another one doing module. And that's just in the past, yes, 10 years because they got to build a factory, but to see the stuff come online now has kind of pushed NLT to a bit of a luxury mass timber product, which is nail laminated timber because the CLT cross laminated timber and the DLT dowel laminated timber from Structure Craft, those two are just got so much economies of scale to just carry on. So
What's the reason that the panelized process is so much more widely adopted in Europe? Is it like partially because of access to where they're building and being able to bring things in and put them together quickly between, in tight, like constrained environments, or is it just the culture is just seems to be more interested in that process as opposed to what we seem to be struggling with here?
yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? So I mean, they've been in business for 124 years now. They've been doing prefab for 36 years. So just imagine having a prefab company for 36 years, what that does. You look at our the ones that you guys have. So you've got Jeremy with Jeremy's Simple Life Homes. You got a couple other ones in Ontario out here. We got Collective and BC Passives. I mean, BC Passives is probably the oldest one here in BC, and they're now kind of post Olympics. So, they're 14, 15 years old. And they're doing amazing stuff. But you think of they're half as old as a prefab company like Balfritz. So the interesting part is Balfritz does about 180 boxes or homes per year, projects per year. So it's almost like one per production day. So it's not like they're, you know, like taking a big dent of the housing market. But they just have a system that works really well. And of course, they're definitely a little higher up in the luxury market in Germany. And now that they support all of Europe, it's also just access to the markets. So, they've got a big market in Austria, but also in the UK. And so when you think of kind of Canada, I mean, the Canadian panhandle of Ontario, I mean, it's 2/3 of Canada, right? I mean, our market here in Vancouver, you think of market of Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, it's still pretty small comparative to it all. So markets is an issue. And then the fact of um, getting into construction, you just have to go to Home Depot and buy a hammer and you can become a framer, right? Like we
Yeah.
know that's not the way, but that's the
Yeah.
problem is just the low entry to just say I can build a house because I know how to frame. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, framing is actually only 8% of your budget, but you think it's 100%.
Well, and I think we were just talking about this. We have been talking about this recently, um, because we have been dabbling in micro panelization.
Love
And
it.
it's
Yeah.
not even anywhere remotely on that scale, but we can certainly see the benefits in terms of the work experience is by far more enjoyable for all of us. And your environment is much more controlled, even though it's only a very small percentage of our project. But we're realizing that, like, just as you're saying about the barrier to entry is not very high, which is good in some ways. But at the same time, I think our knowledge base and workforce has not advanced as quickly as our housing. And we're, among the people who sort of like this group and people who lean towards higher performing houses are usually maybe a little more critical on even what's built and required by code. And yet I think our workforce is struggling to even pull that together a lot of times, let alone try and expect people to adopt much beyond that. And so it's almost getting to a point where um, some kind of post-secondary education is going to almost have to happen in order for people to be able to not just keep doing the same things that were done. Like, I think the people that are teaching right now uh, have, old habits and they're not really keen to explore new things and pass that down to the next group of workers. So it just takes forever for people to try something different or branch out a little bit. So um, it's kind of interesting that way. And you see it in other parts of the world where they've gone so far, just skipped ahead of of all of that, and they're pumping them out the door in panels that are really advanced.
If
I
I might,
I think a
if
lot of
I
it is a combination of things. It's local culture. Um, Definitely, the number of people, the per capita per square kilometer plays a factor. Your population density and trades have never they haven't been looked at in Europe the same way that they've been looked at in North America. It's always been touted as a carpenter was a real profession.
Hmm.
And whereas in Canada, that hasn't always been the case. It was like, well, you're not going to make it to university, so maybe that's the route for you.
Hmm.
And I think we're I think we're slowly turning the tides where the trades are starting to look like a true profession, a true career,
Hmm.
but we've still got work to do. And as we all know, houses have never been more complicated. So we've got to try and do more with less, and we've got to do it quickly.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think even if you were to validate that statement, right, that building is simple and we don't need the best and brightest people. Let's say there's a world that was true. That was only true probably in the 60s, where you had a furnace, it had 4 ducts, it had one return in the hallway, you had what, 4 circuits and a half-inch feed and like the wall had no insulation and it you just
Didn't
put
have
a
to.
roof on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's say that was imaginable here. When you're building now, where the client's expectations are extremely like immaculately detailed interior,
Mhm.
reveals and countertops and millwork and flush appliances and residential elevators and indoor steam rooms and saunas and movie theater. Like the amount of technical coordination you have to have, ability to run teams, and I'm sure your subtrade list has expanded since it did when my dad was building in the 80s. He had about 4 or 5 trades back then. Now they have 26.
Mhm.
There's 5 roofing companies based on the roofing material and the
Yeah.
like and the pitch. It's the amount of knowledge you have, but also business savviness to both run a profitable company that can afford to invest in its people
Mhm.
and advertise and grow the work and, take home some profit, but build good things. That's not easy. And I think we need great people. We need really great people to
When
help us do that.
you think about too, like houses now are people want them to perform like their vehicles. Like they want their vehicle to be quiet, they want their vehicle to be smooth and reliable and all these things and trendy. But that's really complicated to make a house as comfortable as a really nice car. And like there's a lot of things that have to fit in there and they're big and it's expensive no matter what. Like a low cost house is still really expensive. So it's to me, it's one of those things where it's like, man, we're putting this huge investment into, you know, um, homes that just barely meet code requirements, and yet the trades doing it maybe aren't even experienced enough to make those really sort of limited um, details perform. And which that's kind of a bummer when you see stuff like that happen, and you're like, boy, this we got a long ways to go.
We've never, the problem with that is car companies, auto manufacturers, they've always been held accountable
Mhm.
uh, in one way, shape, or form, whether it was through their own sales, uh, they had to do a recall because of safety. All of those things caused them to learn.
Mhm.
And having that constant competition, they had to keep building a better product if they
Mhm.
wanted the consumer's money.
Yeah.
Home builders haven't been forced in that way, not in that same way. Yes, there's some of us in this room that have been forced by our own personal standards or wanting to be building for that, you know, microcosm of people looking for homes. You know, that small market that wants the passive house or the small market that just wants that house that is quiet as their Volkswagen. Um, but for the most part, the average house that gets built, accountability really hasn't been there. And we may see that change. And until we really do see that change, I don't know how much better we're going to get. We're getting better,
Yep.
but the curve isn't going up fast, in my opinion.
Yep. That
Yeah,
probably
and on
comes
that point,
down
Can I?
ultimately to homeowners too. Like builders will build whatever people are asking them to build. And if they're being asked to build just the run of the mill sort of code basic houses, that's what people will
Yeah.
build. It's the
Well, let's take that same proposition, right? Car companies and legislation, and they have rules, regulations, and housing. The average Canadian lives in their home for 7 years. And I think in this, it makes the home a bit more like a consumer purchase, at least for that 7 year span in your own life. And if I had to flip that, I use the car analogy again. Would I go out tomorrow and buy a car that lasts 100 years if I just need it for these 7 years? We need to
Mhm.
carry 2 kids and a big dog and go camping, but then I'll do something fun and sporty in 7 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be going out and buying the hand built thing in England
Yeah.
that costs 200 grand, even though it's better.
Yeah.
And I think we as a group had to look at, okay, our consumer is not looking maybe as the German market as every building is this ancestral thing you can pass down. These are generational homes. And again, it's a mindset they've had for a long time. We are still a growing country and people move around a lot. And yeah, how do you get someone to invest when the average is 7 years?
Well, I think we've got to find the happy medium. And I think everybody in this room could agree we can do an extraordinarily well-built code house.
Mm-hmm.
And, if we can build something that it's got continuous exterior insulation and we can be, under one ACH 50 with, yeah, here we go. Exactly. And have a reasonably efficient HVAC system, you're going to have that comfort, but you're also going to end up with a house that, reasonably speaking, if it's well built, it's going to be durable and it's going to last 100+ years.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be $1 million home. Although I know if you're in Toronto, that's pretty much where they start at. Sorry, Connor.
That's
I could
only
have said the same thing to Sean.
It's only because the dirt underneath it is worth 700 grand. Like that. That's
Exactly. That's
100%.
But
wrong.
to your point, I drop my daughter off at school in the morning, and there's an older couple building, I think, their forever home, and I watched it get framed, and it's looking great, and it's a nice little mass, and then the garage gets framed, attached to the house before they put on, well, what I think is air control, maybe not, and I'm like, oh, do I go talk to them? And then they put the rain screen on. Guess which way it's going? It's 1x4.
Oh, no.
Horizontal. Yep.
Yep.
Around all the windows. There's no gap because I walked up to it. I'm like, do I go talk to them or do I not? And this is the world we're in, right? It's the resources are here. What's so exciting is that CMHC did release the housing catalog just about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It has climate appropriate designs for all provinces and different densities. Single story garden suites and accessory suites, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. And the design packages are really, really nice. They've got mechanicals, continuous insulation, great air sealing details. I think the fact that communities and governments are trying to produce accessible packages like this will help in that translation to make things more, more accessible for sure.
Yeah, in Vancouver, I mean, we had the Vancouver Special. It was a great box. And now that we finally have with this Dash program where you've got all these housing packages that you just put out there, it's amazing. And I mean, I'm lucky because in BC, I mean, we've got the carrot and the stick is to get to step code 5 or near passive house in 7 years, which is actually gets to be 6 years in a couple of weeks here. And it's funny now we're hearing about pushback because again, we got, I'd say, the wrong politicians in power now, and so they're like, oh well, it's step code 5 is too difficult. I'm like, well, look at all the passivos that have been built in Vancouver. It just shows that we can get there. So again, it's I mean, I guess that's the reason why we do this, right? Is we know how we should build with comfort and resiliency and health. And I mean, Connor, you built your house because again, you knew the standard and you didn't want to settle. And I think you give praise to what that house is providing for you and your family. And until you get the passive experience, you just don't know how great it is. And it, like literally takes you 30 seconds. You walked in Connor's house, I would bet anybody in 30 seconds you'd be like, I want this. It's just so different. And it doesn't take much. It's just that little bit of that getting the sipping the Kool-Aid. And you just get why Connor built himself a beautiful house. So
100%. Well,
But,
if you come in the mudroom,
but back to Connor's car analogy, the average person, when they're buying a car, they can go to 3 different dealers and test drive the cars, and then they figure out, oh, I like this or that's better. And there's I don't know, Consumer Reports reviews on this car is the most efficient, or this is the fastest, or this has the nicest leather, or whatever, right? There's, but it's sort of like the largest purchase you're ever going to, the largest expense you're ever going to do. You kind of do it blindly, unless you're a bit of a nerd like us. But
Well,
it's sort of,
Leo,
especially if if you're not building a house, but you're buying a house, you don't even like you get a home inspection maybe, but like the amount of stuff our home inspector also missed or couldn't see, just fair game because it was buried behind the plaster and lath of a historic house. You know, but yeah.
You're right. It is very loaded. To take the analogy further, it's like if you want an electric pickup truck, you want a Ford Lightning, but one is available locally, you can only go and own it and drive it in Ottawa. You have to decide, do I want to move enough for this thing? But when you're buying a house based on a community, a street, a school, neighbors, and you have to look at the 5 houses that are for sale the week you're looking. And you're right, it's hard.
Mhm.
It's really hard. But I think when we are renovating and we're improving people's buildings, we're adding on or deconstructing them. I think this is our opportunity to make a difference and maybe be less nervous and just walk up to the builder and say, does your cladding have drainage in it? Because I don't think this is going the right way, right? A bit like old school building science fight club, right? It's great that we're going to these shows and meeting great people, but how do we bring that back to our communities, to our people, to our neighbors, and make that actionable?
I've been
Maybe we
thinking
just
about
need to have some flyers made up, like just information pamphlets. And you don't even have to actually tell somebody, you just like hand it to them and walk away.
I mean, I did, Louisa. Sorry, guys. I did actually walk up to a neighbor like this past summer because I was like, that doesn't quite look right, and I didn't say that in that way, but I just got them involved in a conversation and tried to just uh, interest them in the knowledge of building science, and invite them to sort of, find their own path, but just feed them a little bit. If you are interested in learning more, this is where you go.
we almost need to start having like I've been thinking about it recently that one of the things that we don't tell uh, clients about is the upgrade that they never see. Like there's always a way to upgrade everything at your cladding. There's an upgrade for that. Your flooring, there's an upgrade, multiple upgrades. Your kitchen, your everything has some sort of upgrade. But I don't think we talk about the fact that you can upgrade your enclosure. And it's not gonna break the bank to do that. It's just a bit more of attention to detail. It almost needs to be like where when you go to pick out various fixtures and finishes for your house, it needs to be something on the wall that says there's your basic enclosure. Because around, like in our market, a $3 million house has the exact same enclosure as a $300,000 house that was anything built in the last 10 years has all the same enclosure with the exception of, I don't know, a handful. There aren't very many different ones, maybe unless it's an ICF or something like that. But by and large, that enclosure comes with every house and it's just what you hang on the outside. But I think a lot of people research everything they put into their house. They maybe research their siding, their flooring, their whatever, and they pick they go through the good, better, best process when they make those selections. And a lot of times they're happy to pick the best that they can afford when it comes to some sort of finish. But maybe we need to start saying, hey, well, before we get into those things, let's go through the good, better, best options on something like your enclosure. And I feel like more people would probably explore that if it was broken down that way, as opposed to maybe not mentioning air tightness or something like that right away, anyways.
So,
Yeah.
a question I was asked last week, I think it was last week, is what percentage of a build, whether it's new construction, renovation, is your WRB?
Yeah,
What percentage is it?
very low.
0.5.
Yeah, it's far less than a percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
So
say 0.5.
and And that doesn't matter whether you're going mechanically fastened, SA,
Yeah.
integrated. The WRB itself is
Yeah.
so tiny.
Yep.
So, why don't you put the best WRB on you can afford?
Yeah. I know. So locally, we're finally getting our local lumber supply to carry Huber products and actually stock them, which has been they've been getting them in for us if we've wanted them in the past, but they're actually hanging on to it a bit. And I asked them recently, like, because I think we're still the only ones that have bought any of it, but the I was asking, like, how are you selling this to people? Like, 'cause they have some little samples on the contractor desk, and they don't really know how they're selling it. I think what happens is maybe somebody looks at it and it's a sheet of zip, for example, and somebody asks how much is it, and they say it's $45 for a sheet, and OSB is 18 or whatever it is. Obviously, that sounds like a massive jump, and I said, I think maybe you need to frame this as the whole package. Like, here's your framing package, and it's $5,000 to have this Huber package added to your already $50,000 framing package. That's 10% bump on one aspect of your building, and that 10% is whittled down to whatever, 1 or 2% over the cost of that entire build. So I think it just seems like sticker shock for a builder to look at that if they've never thought about it, and then they don't know how to spin that to a potential client. But I almost have to take those things and actually present it as the system that they are instead of the one individual layer within that system. And maybe that would be, I don't know, just all different strategies, but
Well, I mean, that's one thing that we all have kind of taken on ourselves is we've paid the dumb tax. You know, all the education that we've done to get to kind of where we're at, our industry is still having to pay that, and that's of course, Gord Cook's good line that I've adopted is just clients are having to invest in builders to take on this, and if they haven't done it, then they're paying the learning curve of where industry gets to go to, and that's why it's great when like we said, the Village Show has all this free stuff. The Accelerator has this free stuff. It's like if if you wanted to learn, come hang out with us every third Thursday of the month, right? Like, it's not that hard to get this information. You just have to understand to Leo's point too is, that transition from shelter to home is quite an interesting story, and the fact that most people are grinding it out and they're just trying to get shelter. And then they turn that shelter into a home and not realize that shelter could be toxic and not supporting their families, comfort and resiliency kind of goals. And so it's great that we're, pioneers and out there to promote this stuff. And that again, we've got such an amazing community, and so grateful for you guys and for what good building is becoming, and how everyone is trying to figure a way to keep their niche and stick, and but at the same time the overall product that is being put out there by just classic passives principles, or if you look at the zero carbon kind of building initiatives with just even looking at material choices, um, it's kind of remarkable of just how much good information is out there now um, that either we're involved in or our community is putting out there. It's pretty amazing.
I just noticed we are way over the hour, gentlemen.
I know I'm having too much fun. I missed you guys. I was like, technically, it's still in my hour. I've been only here for 60 minutes, so it's you guys that got here early.
Uh, no, but I know some people have other things they've got to get to yet tonight. Um, so maybe we'll do parting thoughts.
I'll maybe pop in here. The one parting thought is just always looking for new products and new innovation. The one I put in the chat there is Lignatur, and it's this box beam. I think some of the mass timber companies might have to incorporate instead of just shipping wood, ship the right kind of wood. And so Lignator has this really elegant box beam that I would love to see a North American company start manufacturing. I've only seen it once brought in Revelstoke. So I'm looking forward to seeing new innovation in 2026.
I'm gonna hop right in and just say, don't be afraid to try new things. It may not go smoothly, it may not be perfect, But if you don't try new things, you're not going to grow, you're not going to improve. So take the leap of faith, try the new thing.
I'll pick up on that. A strategy we've been finding helpful when we're starting to learn how to build with high performance materials or approaches is we want to split their learning difference and give the client great value, but reduce the cost on us to try it. So we'd offer maybe a WB upgrade, and we cut the margin. We use the margin of whatever our base was.
Mhm.
So if Tyvek was $1, then our margin is 20 points. We take that 20 cents and add it on top of whatever the premium thing it was.
Mhm.
So client felt like they were getting savings to try something else, and allowed us to give, build the team some experience, some hands-on time. And the next time it got better again, to that conviction of why it matters to spend more. Versus I've heard from these people that it's really good, but to see it and own it. So sometimes some creative accounting, creative project accounting to try things is something worth trying.
And I think too, to kind of even continue on with that too, from a client perspective, the more you can involve a client, as long as you're not getting too into the weeds, maybe if somebody's not interested, but the having them check out the site at early stages when this stuff is going on, where it's really easy to explain what you're doing and why you're doing it, and they can actually see it happening in real time as opposed to, trying to explain something, complicated in a meeting prior to the build, but to be able to actually bring your clients through the project at those early stages, I think is really good. And I know we've had a lot of good feedback in the past with that, and I think people tend to feel a lot more ownership over those details than if we kind of kept them, at arm's length and didn't really, bring them into the mix.
I would just say, coming from the prairies where we don't have a lot of access to materials, to resources, to any of these wonderful events that everyone's hosting, online, there's so much online resources, I almost daily make it get into the office, check something out for half an hour while you're drinking your coffee, and just make it part of your routine. I know some of these events, they can be expensive to go and travel to. That return on investment, you can't even calculate. The people here in this group right now, I've met because I've put myself out there and invested in going to these things. And the return, the support, the other relationships we've built, the networking, like it's insane. And we turn that back around and we look at our industry, and it's our jobs to continue to educate and push all other builders around us, educate our clients, and continue that forward, because we do have an industry that I think is already struggling to meet kind of bare minimum, but then looking at where we need to take the industry, and we just got to keep spreading the word and pushing others to do the same, right? So I look forward to making a goal this year of really pushing my local industry, to really start investing in themselves and pushing us farther. Yeah, that's kind of my final thoughts, and where I really want to try to achieve some ground this year is just with my local building group and the people that I know, is to really start pushing the boundaries. So yeah.
Well, on that note,
Beautiful.
everybody, thank you very much for joining us for episode 32 of BS&BEER Canada. I hope you have an amazing holiday season, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the new year.
Peace, everybody. See ya.
Good night.
Everyone, happy holidays.